Okay, you guys, we're on to chapter 9. It's one of our last chapters. I know you're so excited. Basically, chapter 9 deals with what we call conics. And, there's just going to be you'll see what the conics are, like circles, parabolas, those are all conics. So today is going to be pretty simple, things that you guys already have done. It's circles. So we're going to do things where it's at the origin and it's shifting. Okay, so as always, the parent function, we always do that. Here is going to be the standard equation of a circle. And then, I'm trying to think of what I want to do. Yeah, standard equation of a circle with, this is going to be a shift, or with the center is going to be what we call HK, okay, and a radius, hopefully some of you remember this for geometry, of R. Okay, so here is what the equation of the circle looks like. You're going to go x minus h, whatever the h value is, squared, plus y minus whatever your k value is, and again, it all comes from that center, squared equals, then you take your radius and you square it. So if you guys take a look, everything is squared. Sometimes people forget to square the radius, or you guys just might accidentally forget to square the parentheses as well. So be careful, everything needs to be squared. So get that on your paper. Now, before we get into doing something else, just so you guys see, to make your life a teeny bit easier, your standard equation of a circle at the origin will always look like this. Like, I shouldn't really have to show it, but it'll always look like this. If you think about the origin, obviously is 0, 0. So that's your HK. So it'd be x. Well, if I put x minus 0 is just x. So it's an x squared. You don't need your parenthesis here, sorry. Plus, again, y minus 0 is just y. So squared equals r squared. And so whenever you guys see this, x squared plus y squared, your center was always at the origin. And again, here is your radius of r. Wow. Okay, so if I talk about the origin, that's where it is. You could think this one up here is when we translate, because you're going to have to do a bunch of like original ones at the origin, the basic ones, and then we have ones that we translate. So for right now, translated, and then this one is just at the origin. It was just easier to explain that way. Okay, so here are the questions that we're going to come up with. There's only, how many kinds of questions? There's about, for today, 6. 6 different types. Okay, so here's the first type of question I can ask you guys. So number 1, I'm just going to say, really easy, identify the center and radius. So I told you there are 6 types of these, a few of each of them. All right, so identify the center and the radius. Here's your first question. And I'm just going to graph the first 2 so you guys see, and graph a few just so you understand how to graph them, because on your homework it's graphed. So number 1, x squared plus y squared equals 16. Okay, so my center, if nothing is here, your center is at 0, 0. Now, in the formula, this was at r squared. So if r squared is 16, then we all know the radius is 4. Yes, it's that simple for some of these. And now if I ask you to graph it, all you do is you plot the center, in this case center's there, and you go out 4, up 4, 4, 4, and you do a circle. That's it. We talked about this when you guys did some of the projects. Okay, so I see what I did. All right, so we're going to stick with just doing centers at the origin right now, and then we're going to shift it because that's how your homework is. All right, so watch for this one. X squared equals 40 minus y squared. Okay, so on your paper, put like a star, and on the star, I want you to write the equation must be in standard form. Like, you know, your standard form of a line would be your y equals mx plus b. The standard form has to be x squared plus y squared equals r squared. So obviously this is not in that form. So this has to happen. Again, make note of that because the questions on your homework aren't going to always be perfect. So then that's pretty simple. Then if I want to make this into my form, it's x squared plus y squared equals 40. Okay, center 0, 0. And your radius, well again, this is r squared. That's what people make the mistake with. So your radius is the square root of 40. And when you break that down, it's rad 4, rad 10. So it's 2 rad 10 is my radius. And yes, you have to simplify. Okay? All right, one more of these before we get on to the other ones. So now letter C. What happens if I said 4x squared plus 4y squared equals 128? So again, that is not in standard form. And if you're like, well, what do you mean? Standard form means this must be 1 and that must be 1. They're not ones. So again, to make them ones, we're going to divide everybody by 4. So you have x squared plus y squared equals 32. And now you're okay. So you know your center in this case is 0, 0. Our radius is the square root of this because again, this is r squared. Some of you guys should make note of that. When you break this down, you get 4 rad 2, center, radius. Okay, if you're asked to sketch one of these, just put 4 rad 2 in your calculator and get the decimal version of it, and then go from there. All right, that's it for that type of question. So if I ask you to identify the center, radius, and graph, there you go. Next, we're gonna write the equation. Okay, so next question, kind of 2. Now I'm gonna say, write equation in standard. I'm just gonna write with standard, obviously standard form, with center at origin and a given radius. Okay? All right, so let's do a few of these and then we'll get on to our next type of question. So here, if I say really easy, radius is 8. All right, well, the center is at the origin, so you know anytime it's at the origin, x squared plus y squared equals stop. Remember, your formula is r squared. So if it's r squared and this is the radius, you have to square it. Just make sure you guys are going the right way. One is squared, one is, not squared. And then you take the square root of it. Make sure you're aware of that. Obviously, again, if I ask you to graph this, just to review, you would plot it at 0, origin, and then radius 8, 8, 8, 8. Let's just pretend, just so you guys see the graph. Okay, one more of these, and I think you guys get it. All right, so let's say I said the radius was, I don't know why I did capital and sometimes not, 5 rad 2. Okay, should be fine. So here we go again, origin. And then this again is r. So I want r squared. R squared, you're just gonna take 5 rad 2, 5 rad 2, you guys should know how to do this. 25 rad 4, so 25 times 2 is 50. Again, 25 rad 4, 2, so 50. Done. Okay, hopefully it's not too bad for you all. Where'd that pen go? Here it is. All right, so that's it for question number 2. Let's go on to question number 3. Okay, question 3. Now we're gonna do the same thing, but we're gonna do it with the translation. So those are all at the origin. Now we're gonna translate it. So we're gonna identify, again, your center and the radius. So we're just doing the same thing you guys did for question 1, except you're gonna see how it's not gonna be at the origin. Okay, so here is our first example. Oops. Okay, so if you guys recall, I kind of wrote through the note earlier, the original equation, oh, it's kind of weird the way I did that, is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So think about this. If I want the center and this is a negative h, what did I substitute into this to get a positive 1? You must have substituted a negative, right? Negative is a positive, so negative 1 for your x, and then obviously just substituting a 3 here. So think of this way. Well, first of all, I'll finish it out. And then your radius, this is r squared, so the radius is 2. Here is your center, here is your radius. We could put a little note for ourselves. Think HK in circles. Circles only, you can think, are the opposites in this case. Normally in our equations, only H is the opposite. But in this case, you can think of both of them as being opposites. Again, if I ask you guys to graph, you go negative 1, 1, 2, 3. There's your center. And then radius 2. Let's just pretend 2, 2, and 2. And you guys draw your circle. That's it. Okay? So let's just do one more of those. Okay, so my center, again, if it's a negative 6, just think of it the opposite, positive. Oops, I messed that up. Oh no, I guess I'll leave it. Here you go again, negative 1. Actually, let's change it. Let's put this a positive 1. So since that a positive 1, it must have came from a negative 1. Okay, and then your radius is 5. Done. That simple. All right. So that was pretty easy. Now with the remainder of 4, 5, and 6 questions, we're gonna learn to write the equations. All right, okay, we're almost done. So question number 4. I'm gonna now ask you, since you understand hopefully a little bit about circles, write the equation of a circle given the center and radius. Ugh. Okay, so let's do 2 of these and then we'll go on to doing the other ones. So pretty simple. Hopefully now it's the reverse. So here we go again. I'm gonna give you 7, negative 2, and your radius is 6. It's just like you guys did, when you wrote the equation up here at the origin. And again, it's just your opposites. So if you're gonna be doing this question, you're gonna go x, okay, remember this, if I'm giving you a positive 7, just go minus 7 squared plus y. Again, it's a minus a negative 2, so it's your opposite, so plus 2, and this has to be squared 36. That's it. Let's just do one more so you can see. Let's say 2, 0, and let's say radius 1. Okay, here we go again, x, it's a positive, so put a negative 2 squared plus. Since this is 0, you can put y minus 0 if you want, or you can just write y squared equals 1 squared is 1. Done. All right, let's go on to question number 5. This is your easiest of your lessons for this chapter, so hopefully you're okay with it. So again, I'm going to ask you to write the equation of a circle passes through a given point. So it's a little different. So it's going to pass through the given point whose center is at the origin, something like that. So that's what you want to look at. Okay, so we'll do 2 of these and then we'll go on to our last type of question. So I'm gonna say 6, negative 2. So what this really means is you have an equation of a circle, or you have a circle. It's at the origin, and you have 6, negative 2. It's passing through here. And the question is, how do you write the equation? Well, every equation of a circle needs a center, check, and we need to figure out the length of this radius. And since you have where it's going to, you can figure that out. Now, yes, you can do distance formula, but watch, I'm going to make your life pretty easy. So watch how easy this is. First, let's start with the center. Okay, so we have x squared at the origin plus y squared equals. Now, you want to find r squared. Watch what you can do. It's so easy, and I'll write you guys a note. You're just going to take the values, respectively, and substitute it into your equation that you set up, and that's going to give you r squared. Watch how easy this is. This also, if you think about it, if I take the square root, it's kind of the equation of a distance formula. Plus negative 2 squared equals r squared. So we have 36 plus 4 equals r squared. 40 equals r squared. Now stop there. That's the most important thing. You have it equals r squared. Your formula is in the form of r squared. The most common mistake is you guys are going to square root this. Do not square root this. I want you to stop here. You want r squared, so now you have r squared. So when you write the equation of the circle at the origin, you already found everything and you are done. So if you want a little bit of a note, I'll put a little star here. We'll say use the coordinate x, y, and substitute into the equation. We'll say, so into the beginning of the, into the equation with the center to get the radius, the radius squared. You want the radius squared. Let me do another example so hopefully it makes sense, but that's all you have to do for this one. Okay. So let me just do one more of those. We're almost done. So same type of question. It's at the center as origin, and you're passing through the point for negative 4, 2. So just continuation. Origin passes through that point. Oh, you can't see, sorry. So let's start writing the equation. If it's at the origin, we start to go x squared plus y squared equals, and let's just write r squared just to get used to it. All you're going to do is substitute the points in. Negative 4 squared plus 2 squared. So you have 16 plus 4, 20 equals r squared. I recommend you do that so you don't square root it. And then all you have to do is come right back up here, and there you go. That's your answer. X squared plus y squared, I'll even go over it, equals 20. Done. That's all you guys have to do. All right, last type of question. You guessed it. It's now going to not be at the origin. But who cares? It's the same thing. So question 6. Write equation of circle given. Okay, 2 more questions and you guys are done. So let's say now I'm going to tell you center is 5, negative 2. So it's just not at the origin. And we're going to pass through 7, 3. Okay. It's a little bit more complicated, but watch. Not same kind of idea. You want to start by writing your equation of the circle given the center. So I have x, positive 5 becomes a minus 5 squared plus y, negative 2, positive 2 squared equals r squared. All you have to do to find r squared is substitute this other point, the point that you're passing through, into the problem. So substitute 7 minus 5 squared plus 3 plus 2 squared. 7 minus 5 is 2. 2 squared would give us 4. 3 plus 2 is 5. 5 squared is 25. So 29 equals r squared. Stop there. And then just literally maybe take another pen or write it lighter over here. Just substitute that. And here's your equation. You already started to write it and you're just finding the r squared. If you want to rewrite it, obviously you guys can rewrite it. But I'm just trying to get you guys to realize that's all you have to do. Okay, one more example and then you guys are done. All right, part B. Let's say center, negative 3, 8. And we'll say the point is 2, 3. Okay, actually, let's change it. We'll say negative 3, negative 8. All right, so let's start to write it. So we have x, negative becomes your positive 3 squared plus y, negative becomes positive 8 squared equals, I'll go really faint, r squared. This is the point you're passing through. Point passes. You want to substitute that point into this equation. So we have 2 plus 3 squared plus 3 plus 8 squared. 2 plus 3 squared, 5, so 25 plus 3 plus 8 is 11. 11 squared is 121. So then we get 6, 4, 146. Again, r squared, stop there. Take r squared and you're just gonna replace it and you're done. Hopefully you guys thought this was easy. Again, I will tell you circles is the easier, I think, of all of the conics. Make sure you guys are doing the homework and you're reading your notes. And that's it for today's lesson. All right, bye.